What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the PWD channel where we discuss professional wrestling. In today's video, I'm doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about my top 5 wrestlers of all time. Now, I will say I have only been watching wrestling since like 2007, 2006, so my list is going to be a little bit different than most people's probably would because I haven't been watching for that long. And also, I didn't watch from like 2014-ish to 2016-ish, so about 2 years there where I didn't really watch at all. So just take that with take a little bit of grain of salt in my list and know that I haven't watched. I've only, I didn't watch when the Attitude Era was in its prime and stuff like that. I have gone back and watched some of that stuff, but it's not the same as watching it while it's happening. But with that being said, I'm gonna get straight on with my list now. These are my top 5 wrestlers of all time, and I'm gonna go from 5th to the first best. Now, my top 5, making it in at number 5, is Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, whichever one you want to call him. He's known as Bryan Danielson currently, easily on my top 5 list. His in-ring work is just incredible, and I'm putting him on this list, and I wasn't even watching. Like I said, during the 2014 era, I wasn't even watching when he faced off against The Authority. I wasn't watching whenever he won the title at WrestleMania 30. I wasn't watching any of that. My knowledge of Bryan Danielson was before that period, and I still liked him back then, but it was before then and after then, especially like when he went on his eco-friendly title run. Incredible, fantastic run. But what really sets Bryan Danielson apart from everyone else is just not only his great ability to cut one of the greatest promos, but also his passion and his in-ring work. His in-ring work is some of my favorite in-ring work of all time. Honestly, like on this list, the only other person on this list, I won't spoil it yet, but number 2 is the only other person on this list that it has just can even get anywhere near Bryan Danielson's in-ring work. I think Bryan Danielson is probably one of the greatest wrestlers alive today and who's still working. Like, he is just incredible. I think there's some periods of times where, especially like 2021, 2022 and stuff like that, I think 2022 and 2019 especially, like I definitely would have put him as one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, somewhere up there with Johnny Gargano and Kenny Omega as well. I love Bryan Danielson. He's definitely on my top 5 list for sure. But let's get on to number 4 now. Now, my number 4, this one, I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not because of the way that he's sometimes booked, especially pre-2020, but Brock Lesnar. I love Brock Lesnar. There is nothing better than a Brock Lesnar match sometimes. Now, when he's facing Roman Reigns, the match can be very, very mediocre. But when he's booked well, when he's booked against opponents like Bryan Danielson, when he's booked against AJ Styles, Finn Balor, that is when Brock Lesnar shines like a star. We all know Brock Lesnar is a fantastic wrestler, but sometimes we can forget that because he's put in these matches that, you know, don't really showcase his true skill, but the man can sell. The man can sell like nobody else. No one else can sell like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar can sell so incredibly well. His presence is just incredible. Like, every time you know you're going to have Brock Lesnar on a card, you know you're in for a treat no matter who he's facing, again, unless it's Roman Reigns. If he's facing anyone other than Roman Reigns, you know you're in for a treat. His presence is amazing. His size, his build is amazing. And we really didn't know this until 2020, 2021. He can cut a damn good promo too. Like, he has this goofy comedic style to him that I didn't even know existed until I got to see this version of him that he's currently working, which is kind of like a babyface cowboy, kind of tweenerish as well. But, you know, he's portraying probably who he really is in real life as opposed to the character Brock Lesnar. And it's just incredible. I love Brock Lesnar. I love how he wrestles, everything. Some of the matches that he's put out recently, just incredible. And I love Brock Lesnar. He's on my top 4, or he's in my top 5, coming in at number 4. I think at some point I'll probably put Bryan Danielson above him. And this list is always interchangeable depending how I'm feeling on a different day. But Brock Lesnar's there for number 4. And now number 3, Randy Orton. I love Randy Orton. His Legend Killer run, one of my favorite runs in wrestling history, but the one that was better than that was his 2009 run when he became the Viper. I freaking adore that run like no one else, like nothing else. Like, that is one of my favorite. Like, when he's out here punt kicking Vince McMahon, when he's punt kicking Shane, RKOing and DDTing Stephanie, beating the crap out of Triple H, like that feud, that whole era of Randy Orton, I loved it. I loved Legacy Randy Orton. I used to be absolutely obsessed with Randy Orton, and if you asked me this a couple years ago, I probably would have put Randy Orton as my second favorite wrestler. But because of the last few years, I think since like 2016, his career has definitely slowed down. Now, he's had some good stuff still occasionally. The one that comes to mind is when he was with Matt Riddle as RK Bro. That was a good run. But other than that, he admittedly has spent a lot of his time on the WWE roster pretty boring, pretty bland, and not really, like, especially as a babyface, very boring and bland. But, you know, his 2020 run was good, his heel run against Edge was good, and his RK Bro stuff was good, and those are what really sets him apart. And really, when he is a heel, he can show how good he truly is. But as a babyface, which he has spent a lot of the time as a babyface, it's been very boring, which is why I've moved him down on my list. Like, a long time ago, I would have always said he's number 2, but I put him down at number 3. I still think, you know, he's a good in-ring worker. He's a great promo when he wants to be. And, you know, when he gets in a good feud, he is one of the best wrestlers in the world, easily. So I love Randy Orton. He's definitely coming in at number 3. But at number 2, I got my boy Shawn Michaels, HBK. I freaking love Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was one of the first wrestlers growing up that I attached to just immediately. Whether he was in a singles feud with Chris Jericho, or whether he was tag teaming with Triple H and D-Generation X when it was just them two, it doesn't matter. I loved Shawn Michaels, and I still to this day love Shawn Michaels so much. Like, Shawn Michaels, in-ring work, beyond incredible. Honestly, one of my favorite in-ring workers in the industry of all time. I freaking love Shawn Michaels' in-ring work. And when I said that Bryan Danielson is almost untouched, Shawn Michaels is one of those guys that's up there with him, in my opinion. I just love Shawn Michaels. Like, I remember as a kid, well, 2 things. I remember, one, going to WrestleMania 25. It was here in Houston, Texas. That was one of the first WrestleManias I had ever been to before. Actually, it was the first WrestleMania I had went to, because it was here in Houston, and I got to see him and Taker. I almost remember nothing from that WrestleMania. Like, actually being there, I was so young. I was like 9 years old at the time, maybe 10. I think I was 9 though. I pretty much don't remember the whole show by this point. But one of the things that I do remember, one of the very select few things that I do remember, was that match. And Undertaker versus HBK at WrestleMania 25. The Streak versus, of course, the person who was just desperate to take down the Streak and desperate to beat The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. What a beautiful match. To this day, I still go back and watch that match. Easily 5-star match. Just an incredible, beautiful WrestleMania match. Probably my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. I loved that match as a kid. I still love it as a 23-year-old today. Like, however many years later it's been, like 13, 14 years later, I still love it. Shawn Michaels is incredible. I remember when he, jumping a year forward from that as well, the WrestleMania 26 match against Undertaker, which was also just fantastic. And I actually remember crying at that match as well. Like, when Shawn Michaels lost, I was still a kid. I was like 10 or 11 at this point. And I remember Shawn Michaels losing and his career was over, and I just started crying because I wasn't reading the dirt sheets. I wasn't, knowing what was going to happen. I wasn't assuming he was going to retire. I was thinking, okay, Shawn Michaels can finally beat the Streak here. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. And he lost, and I remember crying. I was watching it with my dad, and I was crying, and I was like trying to hide my tears from my dad, but it was just beautiful. I love Shawn Michaels. I remember after that, when he retired as well, he came out with a little My Journey, like his little 3-disc set of all his best matches and career moments. I remember watching that entire thing. I think as a kid, I watched it a couple times over. I watched some of his incredible feuds, some of his best moments, stuff with Bret Hart, stuff with Marty Jannetty. Like, I just remember watching all this stuff, and I'm just like, this is the fucking guy. I love Shawn Michaels. And to this day, like, he's it's weird because he hasn't wrestled since like Crown Jewel, whenever that was. I tend to forget that match exists, and I pretend it never exists, but even then, like, he's still climbing the ranks, because as time goes on, I start to realize like how great Shawn Michaels really was. As a kid, I knew he was great, but as an adult, Shawn Michaels is he's incredible. I love him, and Shawn Michaels is my number 2 favorite wrestler. But then my number 1 favorite wrestler, I know this is probably very controversial because of everything happening and everything that happened a couple of months ago. It's CM Punk. Come on. His 2011 run, come on. I grew up, I was in middle school when CM Punk really got popping off, when he really used to. I always loved CM Punk before that. Like, whenever he beat Jeff Hardy and made Jeff Hardy leave the company, a lot of kids my age, I remember being like 9 or 10 at the time, a lot of my kids my age were devastated. I was so happy and so hyped. I freaking loved CM Punk, and I wanted the best for CM Punk, because like I kind of went through like a goth or like just a weird phase when I was in middle school, and even before then, I don't know, I had a weird taste in music. I was going through a little goth phase, and CM Punk was like, damn, he looks cool as fuck. I want his tattoos. I want everything that he has. He looks like the guy to me. Like, CM Punk was my guy. So to see him defeat like Jeff Hardy, I remember I was straight edge. Like, in middle school, I used to like say all the time, I used to tell everyone I was straight edge. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything like that. And it was all because of CM Punk. Like, even though he was a heel, he influenced me to make better life decisions, and just, I loved CM Punk before 2011, but that 2011 run, this was when I was already starting to fall out with wrestling, but there was one thing that I would tune into Monday Night Raw every single week to see, no matter how out of wrestling I was, for a while at least. CM Punk. I had to see what CM Punk was doing, whether he was feuding with Alberto Del Rio, whether he was feuding with John Cena, whether he was feuding with Kevin Nash, Triple H. It didn't matter who he was facing. Brock Lesnar, it didn't matter to me. Like, I didn't care. I was there to watch CM Punk. The pipe bomb promo, we already know it was so captivating, so amazing, and everything after that, like, to this day, I still go watch at least like 2 or 3 times a year some of his best moments from like 2011 onwards. Just some of the most incredible WWE moments. I freaking loved CM Punk back then, and I was obsessed. In middle school, I was obsessed with him. I used to look in the mirror and do this all the time. I used to like want to get tattoos like all over my body because of CM Punk. Like, I wanted to be CM Punk, and I remember having him as my phone background in middle school when I was like in 7th grade. I was like 13 years old. I was like 12 years old or 11 years old. I had him as my phone background. Like, just, I love CM Punk. His in-ring work is pretty good. It's nowhere near the best, but also it's not bad by any means. He's a pretty good in-ring worker. His promos, for me, is what really set everything apart. Like, his promo ability, just incredible. One of the best, if not the best in the game. Maybe not today. I think MJF takes that spot now, but like back then, and you could tell MJF was so inspired by CM Punk back then too. Just incredible promo. Decent to good in-ring worker, let's be honest, good, especially for the time period that he was wrestling in back then, and like definitely such a good in-ring worker. And even in AEW, I have absolutely adored some of his stuff. His feud with MJF, just perfect, chef's kiss. Beautiful feud with MJF. His match with Darby, incredible. Like, just all of these he put in some good performances in AEW. Yes, he was a little bit slower in the ring, but his promo ability did not drop off at all. And I hope that we do see CM Punk in an AEW ring again, as long as the talent around him are okay with him coming back, as long as Tony Khan wants him back, and as long as he wants to be back, which I know he does. I hope that we are able to see him again, and I do think we will. And I know that this is controversial. I know, because of all the stuff that he did backstage when he fought the Bucks and fought Omega and stuff like that. I know people started to hate on him, but with time, everything passes, and you have to forgive people for the big mistakes that they make. When all this stuff was happening, I was not one of those people that was on Reddit hating on CM Punk, saying this guy's the worst in the world. Because I knew deep down inside, like, I can't hate this man, one, unless he did something really bad, but like, I can't hate him, and two, it's just like, guys, yeah, he's older, but he makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all do stupid shit. And you guys, if he comes back to AEW, you guys are all going to be loving him again anyways when he cuts some fire promo as a heel. And these are just like predictions. He's going to come back as a heel and be like, you guys turn your back on me, talking to the fans, obviously. And he's going to go on some insane heel run, and everybody's going to love him again. We all knew this is, most of us, the intellectual people, know that this is just going to happen anyway. So I was not going to sit here and try to cancel CM Punk. I love CM Punk. I always have, I always will. Again, unless he does something really bad, but I don't think he will. I don't think he's that type of guy. I love CM Punk. As an in-ring worker, great. As a promo, fantastic. And just as a wrestler, my number one favorite wrestler of all time. And it's not even close. Like, Shawn Michaels, as much as I love Shawn Michaels, CM Punk does not even touch, or Shawn Michaels does not even like hold a candle to CM Punk. Now, is he better in-ring worker? Yes, but just CM Punk. I love CM Punk. He inspired me as a kid. Like, when he came back to AEW, I was just so hyped. I remember crying, rewatching the return on YouTube. I love CM Punk, and he's my number one favorite of all time. But that's my list. Let me know what you think of it. I know a lot of people are really going to hate this list because there's not a lot of, there's not Rock and Austin. But like I said, I have went back and watched a lot of that stuff, but it's not the same when you're not actually living in that moment. Like, okay, the long old NBA debate, who's the best player of all time? Is it LeBron James or is it Michael Jordan? I'm not going to say LeBron James, and I'm not going to say Michael Jordan because I wasn't alive during Michael Jordan's prime. I just simply wasn't alive. And for me to go back and watch Michael Jordan highlights and stuff like that, it's not fair for me to say that, oh, I look at this and LeBron's better, because I wasn't there during that prime. I wasn't watching the league during that prime. During that era, I wasn't even alive. So there's no point of saying that Michael Jordan is for sure better than LeBron. There's no point of for sure saying LeBron's better than Michael Jordan. I didn't live through that era. So just because I went back and watched some of it doesn't mean I have the right to judge it, in my opinion. At least for me. Like, if you were born in that era and you've seen both Attitude Era and, modern day wrestling, then that's perfectly fine if you want to say some are better than others. But for me personally, I've only seen since 2007 or 2005, 2006, and I'm only judging since then. This is my top 5 list. Again, let me know what yours is in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of mine. I know I'm going to get hate for it, but that's okay. I'm willing to accept the fact that, hey, most of my wrestlers are modern day wrestlers with the exclusion of Shawn Michaels and Brock Lesnar. Most of them are, you know, modern day wrestlers, and that's perfectly fine. I was born in 1999. There's nothing I can do about it. Sorry I didn't watch during the Attitude Era, but yeah, I will say at the end of this video though, I might not be reviewing Smackdown tonight. I'm filming this video on Friday. It's 2:42 p.m. right now. Smackdown is in a few hours. It's my dad's birthday and it's my cat's birthday, so I'm going to be going out and celebrating with my dad tonight. So I probably won't be able to upload the Smackdown review. If I do, it might be tomorrow. It might be late. I'm not sure yet. I would really like to, if I can. If I'm going to try to, but the likelihood is that it's not going to happen, unfortunately, which sucks because there's a lot of good on tonight's show. But anyways, I'm gonna end this video there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next video. I should be back on Monday with the Raw review, and yeah, I'll catch you guys then. I love you all. See you later. Peace.